The US president has posted yet another warning to Iran over the Strait of Hormuz, filled with expletives and derogatory language. Donald Trump has set an April 6 ultimatum for Tehran to reopen the strait, vowing to strike Iran's civilian infrastructure if not. And in his latest post, Trump spells out his threat, saying Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. He says there will be nothing like it. Trump then uses another swear word, demanding the strait be opened. Otherwise, he says they'll be living in hell. Now, a day to go until that US-imposed deadline, and Iran hasn't changed its stance on the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran, in fact, says it's closed to enemies attacking it, but open to friends and those who coordinate with Iran. Right, well, we've got Ali Hashem standing by in the Iranian capital, Tehran. But first, let's go to Mike Hanna in Washington, D.C. Mike, this latest message from Donald Trump, one that means business with that sort of language, do we think, or perhaps a more desperate one?
Well, an astounding message from the head of state, not less one who is at war with another country. President Trump there, the expletives and the tone of that message very clearly indicating perhaps a sense of deep anger at the fact that things are not going the way that he wants them to go, that Iran appears reluctant to engage in any form of a diplomacy or negotiation, although the president claims that to the contrary. However, as well, saying that Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one, nothing like it, he says. Now, many observers have pointed out that to attack a country's vital infrastructure during hostilities constitutes a war crime. But President Trump clearly not being concerned about this, also making clear there that although his imposed deadline, his 10-day deadline, expires on Monday, he is going to commence operations or ramp up operations from Tuesday. He specifically uses the word Tuesday in that particular social media post. So clearly a very angry president, but perhaps too a somewhat frustrated president, writing these words in his social media.
And Mike, Trump has been speaking to US media since posting those threats. What has he been saying exactly?
Well, he's made some extraordinary comments. Let me first of all start off by saying that, yes, he is intent on getting negotiations. He says that there is going to be a deal by tomorrow, probably. He says that the negotiators, unnamed, who he claims are involved in these talks, have been given amnesty. They will not be attacked, or they will be left out of the ongoing attacks. But they're again saying that, yes, this will all be concluded by Monday. However, he then says as well that if this doesn't happen, he's going to be blowing everything up and taking the oil. Those are his precise words to various US members of the media. He also added a truly astonishing detail or claim, saying that earlier in the year, the US sent weapons to Iranian protesters to use in their activities against the Iranian regime. Now, he says, President Trump, that these weapons were sent to the Kurds, as he puts it, without clarifying that further, and says it looks as though the Kurds probably kept these weapons. So very interesting comments, and in some ways confusing comments from the US president to the US media. On the one hand, he's saying, yes, we think these negotiations can get wrapped up by tomorrow. On the other hand, he's saying he's going to be blowing everything up and taking the oil. So mixed messages very much from the US head of state.
Thank you very much. That's Mike Hanna there in Washington, D.C. Let's now go to Ali Hashem for more of what's perhaps being said in Tehran. Ali, as Mike was saying, very contradictory messages there. On one hand, you have a social media post that's threatening Iran. And then on the other hand, he says possible deal by Monday. That's according to an interview with Fox News, the local media in the US. How do you think Iran is going to be reading into those mixed messages? And perhaps could there be a deal? And this is all bravado for the American public.
Well, this has been the case for the past 4 weeks. We've been hearing from President Trump the threats, and at the same time, other stances or positions that the deal is very close. And for the moment, everyone is waiting to see. Will there be a deal? Because many people would like to see a deal in place, especially if that's going to end the war. As for the Iranians here, they always say that there is a kind of a situation where they are exchanging messages with the Americans. Now, we saw Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi once again yesterday talking about the Pakistani mediation and that the Iranians are ready to talk if their own conditions are met. Is there actually a situation right now, a place where these conditions are being discussed, especially that the Iranians has refused the 15 points of the Americans in the past couple of weeks? Now, there's another main issue that's on the table, which is opening the Strait of Hormuz. And we heard today from Oman that they are discussing with Iran a new mechanism for passage within the Strait of Hormuz. Is this an indication that there is something that could come out within the coming 24 hours and could put an end to the crisis regarding the Strait of Hormuz and could be an entrance to an end to this episode of war? This is a big question, especially that the Iranians aren't actually looking for a ceasefire. They're looking for an end of the war. Is President Trump going to offer the end of this war and a kind of guarantees that the war wouldn't be repeated? Then probably there might be a deal. If not, then probably Tuesday would be a big day.
All right, thank you very much. That's the Ali Hashem, our correspondent in Tehran.